And with that, we are underway for the victory lap here. I'm your host, James Boss, joined alongside Shane Tinney. And Shane, how are we doing tonight?
I'm doing great tonight. How are you doing? How was your day?
You know, the day was a day. Thursday's always a day. It wasn't as bad as that if the average Thursday, if we're being completely honest here. So I guess that's at least got to count for something, right?
Of course. I've been looking forward to this one.
Oh, always.
For sure.
Always. And this is going to be a good one here. And we're going to go a little bit off the path that we've been going so far, and we're going to kick it off with a little bit of basketball talk here. The Lakers just extended Rob Pelinka, their GM, through 2026. And I think it's safe to say the two of us have some takes on that. You want to kick it off?
See, with this one, I don't know. I'm kind of undecided here. Do you credit him for building the championship roster? No? Or was that kind of LeBron just sort of signing himself there?
Well, that was everybody else because he had absolutely zero part in all of that.
Yeah, so, I mean, you look at this offseason. They did make some moves. They fired Frankie V. You brought in Darvin Ham, and then you brought some free agents in, Patrick Beverley. You got Dennis Schroeder back, and they kind of worked to get their roster a little bit younger, which has been an issue over the years. Clearly, we've seen with injuries year after year. So, I don't know. I think this is an okay move for the Lakers, I would say, because he was the GM when they won the title in 2020.
Yeah, but he didn't build any of that team. That was all there before he got there.
Him and Magic, I think, deserve a little bit of credit for... I mean, LeBron did kind of... there was rumors before the season that he was probably going to end up with the Lakers. But I think Pelinka and Magic did help with that. So, do we credit them a little bit there? And then you bring in AD and...
I think I give more credit to Magic, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
I mean, I think... this hurts. Like, I'm not a huge basketball fan, but I like the Lakers. That's my team.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been run so poorly the last few years. It's been so hard to watch. Like, yeah, they won in 2020. If it was a normal year, there's no chance. They're not winning that year if it's a normal season. The only reason they won is because they had 3 months off to let Anthony Davis get healthy. So I don't really give Pelinka any credit for that title. And I mean, look at where the team is at right now. Last year, they were bad. They were not a good team last year.
Can't forget the injuries, though.
Sure,
AD
there's
misses
injuries.
half the year,
AD
LeBron
gets hurt
misses
every
games.
year. Are we really going to try and be like, oh, we can't forget about the injuries when Anthony Davis is hurt every single season?
But we can't blame Rob Pelinka.
We can blame Rob Pelinka for the guys that we don't have. You know who we did have? Russell Westbrook. You know who got him there? Rob Pelinka and LeBron. Rob Pelinka's biggest issue with this team is that he just only listens to the guys LeBron wants. They could have had DeRozan. DeRozan was going to be a Laker, and Rob Pelinka said, no, LeBron wants Russ. We're getting Russ.
I agree with you there.
And if they have DeRozan, they're in the playoffs.
Yep.
And so that alone is entirely on Pelinka.
Yep.
Because
DeRozan had a great year last year with the
DeRozan was
Bulls.
incredible last year.
Yep.
And then you think about it, the only reason if they could have had Kuzma, and if they wanted to, they could have traded Kuzma for something. Kuzma's better. He's a good bench player. He's not a great starter, but he's a good guy to have off the bench.
But at the time when they let Kuzma go, he wasn't really doing much for the Lakers.
He wasn't doing a whole lot, but honestly, if you have DeRozan and LeBron, you don't need him to do a whole lot. You just need him to be a good spark plug off the bench, and that's what he could have been.
I think the one out of that package they missed the most, that's probably the highest star, is Brandon Ingram.
Yeah.
I think that's the one that got away.
Absolutely.
Sure.
But, I mean, you had to give up a guy like Brandon Ingram to get Anthony Davis. So, like, I'm not that upset about that.
Yeah.
I think the biggest issue is you traded Kuzma for Russell Westbrook. If you wanted to trade Kuzma, you could have. You could have got a guy like Buddy Hield for him.
Mm-hmm.
Buddy Hield would have been a whole lot better than Russ, honestly. So, the fact that... And then, also, on top of all of this, this is the guy that let Alex Caruso walk. Alex Caruso, while he's not a fantastic baseball or basketball player, getting a little ahead of myself there, he's really good defensively. What the Lakers need help on is defense, because offensively, they can score. But when you're allowing 120 points a game, you're not beating a whole lot of teams. And Alex Caruso is a guy that will make sure your defense is able to do its job.
He brought the intensity. We saw him diving for loose balls on the court and everything. Watching the Lakers last year, they missed a guy like that.
Exactly. And so I think Pelinka is the issue with the Lakers. and the fact that he just got extended for, what's that, another 4 years?
2025, 2026 season.
So, I mean, it's embarrassing as a franchise, honestly. That's all it is.
We're going to have to see how this season plays out when Russell Westbrook is going to start to prove everyone wrong starting this season.
I hope you're right. You're not, but I hope you are.
We're washing away last year. It's a new year. He's coming this year. Him and Pat Bev.
Oh,
book it.
Hey, I would love me some Pat Bev. But that's going to wrap up our little basketball talk to kick off this show. We're going to head over into the NFL, and to kick it off with the NFL, I have to begin this with explaining my Jaguars and my Lions. They were bad this last week. There's no excuse for how bad they were. I can at least explain it a little. The Lions are easier to explain.
Let's hear it.
Bill Belichick is the best coach in football when it comes to coaching against a bad team, a bad quarterback. You see it every single year. Every single time he's going against the rookie looks horrible. Every single time he goes against Jared Goff looks horrible. In the 3 career games in the regular season that he has against the Patriots, not even mentioning the one that he lost in the Super Bowl, in those 3 regular season games, he's 1-2, and he has a 53.3% completion percentage. That's bad. He's averaging 175 yards a game. That's bad.
Yep.
And he's averaging less than a touchdown a game. He has thrown 2 in 3 games. That's also bad. He's thrown 4 interceptions in those 3 games. Jared Goff is awful against Bill Belichick because Bill Belichick is really good at coaching against Jared Goff. And on top of that, the Lions were missing DeAndre Swift, and Amon-Ra St. Brown was obviously hurt. Like, he's not at 100% right now, and so Goff's biggest weapon, he doesn't even have. And so when you put all of that together and you package it against Bill Belichick, obviously he's going to shut down the Lions. Now, should they have scored a point?
0
yes.
points?
0 points is bad. There's not a whole lot. You can't really excuse that one, but you can at least explain why they were so horrible.
Come into the game scoring the most points per game, and you come in there and drop 0.
Bill knows how to beat.
Bill Belichick is just that great?
I think when it comes to coaching against Jared Goff, he is.
And also, TJ Hawkinson, week 4, 179 yards. Last week, 6 yards. That's all Bill Belichick?
Did you start him?
I did not.
Well, also, I mean, let's keep in mind here, TJ Hawkinson was not going for another 170-yard game. Like, we knew that wasn't
Sure, but
happen.
I thought he could have got more than 6.
Sure, but when he has one healthy weapon, Bill Belichick can be like, okay, I'm going to take him out of the game. Amon-Ra St. Brown, your legs are barely working, go beat us. And it didn't work. So I think that's really what it was, because he didn't have to worry about the running game a whole lot, because Jamal Williams, I mean, he's solid, but he's not.
He's all right.
Yeah, he's not a great running back.
Swift.
Exactly. There's a huge drop off there. So I think that's the thing with the Lions.
I mean, you got a bye week next week. Hopefully you can kind of bounce back from this performance. So, 0 points.
Yeah, that's tough. That's not a good look. I think. But for the other team that I have to explain, the Jaguars, that's a lot harder. Honestly, I don't know what happened, because they looked like a good football team.
Y'all dropped 6 points.
I still think their defense is still really good. They held the Texans aren't very good, but 13 points is still 13 points. Mm-hmm. If you're holding the team to that, that's a good job on your defense. So I still think the Jags' defense is legit. I think Travis Etienne is good. He had another really good game. I think the issue was Trevor Lawrence took a big step back, and turnovers were the things that killed the Jaguars. They outgained the Texans by 200 yards. That's supposed to win you a football game.
It is. Usually,
but it didn't. And so the real issue for the Jaguars, turnovers and score when you get in the red zone.
Yeah, Trevor didn't throw a single touchdown pass last week.
They didn't score a single touchdown. So you got to be better than that. You got to be able to cash in when you're moving the ball downfield. You don't want to settle for field goals. You want to get touchdowns, and the Jaguars weren't able to do that. Now, is there a serious problem with this team moving forward? Maybe, but the division still sucks enough that I think they can win it. But this is certainly a bad look for the Jaguars coming off. It wasn't an impressive. I wouldn't call it an impressive loss to the Eagles, but they didn't get blown out like most other teams that they've played have. So the Jaguars were at least coming into this with something. Now they left week 5 with absolutely nothing.
Yeah, you got the Colts next week or this weekend.
Should beat them.
You got to take them.
Should. That team is horrible.
if we're still making the claim that the Jaguars are going to the postseason this year.
Which
you got to win games like those.
I think they will.
We can't have any more Texans games like we saw.
No, you can't. But moving on from there, the Giants beat the Packers this weekend. Are they actually good now?
Of course we're good. We are 4-1. We're 4-1. We have the same amount of wins already than we did all of last year. We're making the postseason this year. We're winning, I'm saying, 12 games this year. I think we're back. Saquon Bark, 12 games.
That's a lot of games.
We got when we play the Eagles, they don't want to see us. They don't want to see us. The Ravens don't want to see us. It don't matter who. We beat the Packers in London. Doesn't matter where. Big Blue is back. Saquon Barkley, I think, is making the case for Offensive Player of the Year. He is leading the league in scrimmage yards with a total of 676. And I think Coach Dable, he just seems like the man for the job.
I do like Dable. Dable looks good.
I mean, he kind of set the tone from week 1 against the Titans. When you're down by a point and you go for 2 to get the win instead of the tie. And it was successful, and I think that set the tone from day 1. I think Daniel Jones.
He looked good.
Daniel Jones has 3 game-winning drives this season in just 5 games. He's not the flashiest quarterback in the league, but he's just doing enough to win games. He's not making bad mistakes like we saw last year and years before that. And I think, and with the receiving core we have, I mean, he's just making it work. Their leading receiver for the whole entire team is Richie James with 171 yards on the year.
I don't even know who that man is. This is the first time I've ever heard his name.
Yeah. And Daniel Jones got over 200 passing yards for the first time on the season. We're making steps here. And I saw that the Giants reached out to the Panthers about acquiring DJ Moore.
That would be big.
I think that would be a great acquisition because obviously we see this receiver room led by Kenny Golladay. Of course, right?
Your boy.
Yeah, my guy who has, I think, 22 yards on the season. And I think he's like the 17th highest paid receiver in the league doing that. I think if we plug in a good receiver like that and combine that with our defense, we're 12 games.
Good pull. 2 for 22 for Kenny Golladay.
Yep, see? But, yeah, we're back. It's our year.
Yeah, I'm not going to go that far. Obviously, I do not hold the same level of bias that you do. I do hold some level of bias in the sense that I don't think the Packers are all that good of a team this year. And while still a good job beating the Packers, like the Packers still have Aaron Rodgers.
Defense came up big at the end.
Defense came up very big. Coaching for the Packers questionable, not giving Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon the ball when you need 2 yards. Not so sure I can, back that choice. But the Giants have, you can't discredit 4 wins. 4-1 to start a season it's good. They've done it against not horrible teams. So like they're at least doing something good there. But are they gonna continue this?
Yes.
I don't think so. I think the schedule gets it's tough to close out the year. To close the year, I mean, you have, of the last 5 games, you got 2 against the Eagles, 1 against the Vikings. And then there's the Colts and the Commanders thrown in there, which those should be gimmies. But, I mean, you got the Ravens coming up this weekend. That's going to be a real... If the Giants can beat the Ravens, I'll take them seriously.
We're going to beat the Ravens.
If they make it respectable against the Ravens, I'll take them seriously. Will that happen? I sure don't think so. I think this game this weekend is going to be a very humbling moment for the Giants because I think Lamar Jackson is probably going to run for 400 yards against them.
Nope. Shutting them down.
Ooh, good luck with that.
Nope.
You're going to be the first team in probably the history to ever do that. So good luck.
You don't want to see our defense.
I think he does want to see your defense. But, I mean, 4-1's 4-1. The Giants are good. Are they winning 12 games? No.
Of course we are.
No.
No, we're winning more. You're right.
I think they'll finish with like 10 because they've started off too good. 10's like You can have a losing record and still get 10 wins from here. So, will they? Maybe. Who knows? Actually, no, they can go even and get 10 wins from here.
Yeah, and now the league is seeing what a healthy Saquon Barkley is. Again.
But that's the issue. That is your issue. If you keep giving Saquon 30 touches a game, he will not be healthy by week 10. He already got hurt last game, and it's week 5. If they keep running him into the ground like they have every other year they've had him at their disposal, he's going to break. It's just what happens.
He's going to be all right. I think that, he's been injury prone the last few years, but like we always say, it's only been 5 games. But so far, his production on the field is, you could say, the best running back in the league we're seeing.
Yeah.
I really think. And 676 scrimmage yards, which, that leads the league. So I think, and we've had Saquon in and out of the lineup the past couple of years, and now we're just seeing what the team can be when he's in there and playing the way he plays. So I think obviously getting him back was huge for us.
Yeah, and I mean, he's the driving point of that offense.
Yeah.
Without Saquon, there is no Giants.
Yeah. Daniel Jones is, like we were saying, he does enough.
He looked, this game last week was probably the best game I've ever seen him play.
Yeah. I feel like his IQ for the game is getting better as he, with more experience. And he's not going to throw for 400 yards, no, but he's going to do enough to put us in position to win games.
Yeah. Someone who has not been putting their team in a position to win games is Russell Wilson. It came out this last week that he is playing through I believe, a partially torn lat. Mm-hmm. So his shoulder is not exactly in the greatest of conditions. Is that the reason why he's been so bad this year?
Well, it doesn't help, obviously, right? But he's looked awful so far. I mean, let's just say for what it is. Like, the Broncos are 2-3. They lost 2 in a row. He's completing a career low 59.4 of his passes, and this is just not the Seattle Seahawks Russell Wilson we know and love. And obviously, an injury in your throwing shoulder, that doesn't help. But it just hasn't been the same Russ. Yeah, and
I agree. It's certainly not the same Russ. But the issue is, the reports are saying that he got this injury against the Raiders. So that doesn't excuse his first 3 games when he looked like dog water.
Yep.
And even if it does, if he's going to step on the field and play football, he has to play good. If you're healthy enough to play, which apparently he is, you can't get away with playing like trash.
He has.
And we had it with, like, Baker last year. He was trying to play through injury. He was horrible. And everybody just lampooned him for it because he deserved it. A guy who right now is playing through an injury is Justin Herbert. He looks like a good quarterback. Mm-hmm. That, if you're going to be able to play through injury, play like Justin Herbert, not Baker Mayfield. And right now, Russell Wilson is playing like Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, and it's not like he's 33 years old.
Yeah,
for a quarterback,
that's not that old.
No, you got a good few years left.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with Russ that makes him so bad right now is he's too scared to run the football.
Yeah,
he hasn't been doing it, and he's obviously still has legs because every now and then he just takes off with it and looks like old Russ.
Yeah, he's just not rolling out of the pocket, and like, we're not expecting him to go out there and be like Lamar Jackson, but he's good for a scramble here and there for a good few yards.
But one of the things that made him so good were his legs.
Yep.
Like, he was so elusive in the backfield that it was always impossible to bring him down. That was why he was able to overcome bad offensive lines. Now, he doesn't move, and it makes him horrible because when you can't throw or move, what good are you?
Mm-hmm. And, I mean, we saw it unfold. What was that against the Colts?
It was the worst.
What was that game?
Well,
they scored 9 points?
Yeah, 9 points.
You lost.
No touchdowns were scored. Russell Wilson looked so bad in every single way.
In the end zone.
Yep. It wasn't even like it was a pick that's excusable. It was a horrible pass. It didn't get in super hard, and it was on perfect coverage. The corner was draped all over him. I believe Stephon Gilmore was the guy with the pick, I believe.
Yep. Great play. I mean,
it was a great play. It was a great play
ball.
by him, but like, if a good quarterback should know not to throw that football, and Russ still threw it.
Yeah, but Richard Sherman was great
on
the broadcast
Richard
afterwards.
was incredible.
You could tell he was having some flashbacks there to that Super Bowl against the Patriots.
Flashbacks to the Super Bowl, and you can just tell that those guys, those former Seattle players, hated Russ.
But he hit the nail on the head.
He did. He did. I mean, he called him out for what it was, and it was terrible.
Yeah.
He's saying Russ is the issue with this team. They give him all of this money. They trade all of these picks for him, and he's looked atrocious.
Mm-hmm. When throwing passes into the end zone, Russell Wilson is 2 for 18. When throwing passes into the end zone, that about sums it up right there.
Yeah, that's inexcusable. It explains why they can't score, obviously.
Yeah, they're just there when they drive down to the red zone. You can't convert, and obviously we saw against the Colts you scored 9 points.
Yeah,
against the Colts.
The Colts.
You lose to Matt Ryan.
That's a horrid football team.
You're not walking away from that game happy at all.
No, I mean we saw Melvin Gordon Melvin Gordon has never hated a human more than he hated Russ that night.
Yeah. Yeah, that photo with them was great.
The best part is there were two. That happened twice.
Yeah. It's like, come on, Russ. Like, you're our guy. Like,
you're supposed to cook, and right now he's burning water.
Yeah. There's no cooking on the Denver Broncos at all.
You know where there is cooking?
Where's there cooking?
The Cowboys at Cooper Rush. He's 4-0 in his time as a starter. Should he start over Dak when Dak comes back?
This is an interesting one. It really, really is, because Cooper Rush, you look at his stats. Okay, 4-0 as a starter. I think when Dak is healthy enough, I think Dak should come back and play, because I don't think Cooper Rush is doing anything like extraordinary off the charts that Dak can't do. And I mean, Cooper Rush has done a great job. Like, obviously, they're also 4-1. But I think...
You know the one game they lost? The one game Dak started.
Yeah. But it's... I think Dak Prescott should be their QB1 when he's healthy. But with that said, Dak's on a hot seat. When they do start him again, he better go out there and ball.
Yep. The only thing with Dak, the only reason I think he will start, assuming Cooper Rush at least keeps up what he's been doing, is simply because they just gave him a very large contract.
Yep.
And when it's the NFL, money gets you starts.
Mm-hmm.
Should it? If Cooper Rush goes out and beats the Eagles, there's absolutely no reason that Dak should ever start.
I was going to bring that up. If Cooper Rush beats the Eagles, then the conversation might be completely different.
If Cooper Rush beats the Eagles, he should start every single football game for the Cowboys to end the year until he looks horrible. Which, if he beats the Eagles, I can't imagine it's going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah.
So, yes, I think Cooper Rush, right now, based off what I've seen from him, I think he should start over Dak. It might change after this weekend because this is really their first, good test. They've had some tests. They've played solid teams. But this is their first, really good team that they're going up against. And if they can come out on top, or at least make it close, Cooper Rush should start.
Yeah, we look at the Cowboys. Their defense is phenomenal.
Oh, it's incredible.
I feel like
it doesn't get enough praise.
When we think of the Cowboys, their defense gets a lot of credit for these wins. I don't believe it's so much to do with Cooper Rush being a phenomenal quarterback. I mean, he's led the team. They're 4-1, so he's winning games. But I think a majority of their success is credited to that defense.
Yeah, and I mean, rightfully so. The defense has been fantastic.
Yeah.
I don't have the exact numbers off the top of the head, but I can't remember them giving up a whole lot of points in a single game so far this year. So that counts for something.
They haven't allowed multiple touchdowns all year.
Yeah, that's a good number.
Yeah, they beat the Giants.
I gotta imagine it's gonna probably break this weekend. I think Jalen Hurts will not let that streak stand.
It's gonna be a good game.
It is gonna be a very good game.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I've never been the biggest fan of Dak. I don't really think he's all that great of a quarterback. He seems like one of those Jay Cutler type garbage time scorers where he'll play a mediocre game and then either they're losing late in the fourth and then he'll score a whole lot of points when they're playing prevent defense and make it a one-score game and make it look respectable, or he'll just do the inverse and just be like, okay, Zeke is going to eat and then get us some touchdowns.
Although he hasn't much this year.
Although Zeke has not eaten for a couple of years now. But it's just, I don't think Dak is all that good of a quarterback. I think he's one of those guys. He's certainly a good step below the really good quarterbacks. And when you're in that kind of middle tier that Dak's in, you can get replaced by a guy like Cooper Rush who goes out and wins football games. Because really, they need a guy who won't turn the ball over. Because when their defense is that good, turnovers are the only things that can kill them.
Yep.
And Dak turns it over a little too much. Cooper Rush hasn't thrown an interception once this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Regardless of what happens, Dak Prescott, you're on the hot seat. Like, once you get back in there, you better go out there and perform, because once he comes back and starts a game, everybody's gonna be looking at like, okay, what you gonna do?
Yep.
If he doesn't play well, okay, we got Cooper Rush.
Exactly. But I think that's gonna do it for our football talk. So we're gonna take a quick break. On the other side, we will be getting a whole lot of baseball going since the playoffs are underway, and it's the best time of the year, except I hate it. So thank you all for joining us here tonight, and we will be back very soon. And welcome back, everybody. I'd like to thank you all for joining us here on the Victory Lap. I am James Boss, joined alongside me is Shane Tinney, as we just wrapped up our football portion of this show here tonight. To kick it off here in the second half, I want to talk a little bit about baseball, and I think the big thing that I want to bring up before we get into a whole our real topics here, so I just wanted to talk about that 15-inning wild card game between the Guardians and the Rays. A lot of casual baseball fans will say it's horrible and the worst thing that ever exists because no one scored until the very last batter. Mm-hmm. I, on the other hand, am not a casual baseball fan. I loved every single second I watched of that game. I am a big fan of pitching matchups, and that's as good of a pitcher's duel as you can possibly get. Tristan McKenzie was lights out. I've never seen a... That's not true. I've seen better. But this is by far the best pitching. That's been the best performance from a pitcher so far in the playoffs. And I say that watching Joe Musgrove. McKenzie was just completely unhittable. The Rays had absolutely nothing on him. And Glasnow was just as good on the other side. And the Rays bullpen was just as good. They had to do the heavy lifting because Glasnow didn't go that deep. So they had to pitch I don't know the exact number. They had to pitch a lot of innings. And it's nice to... I love seeing good pitching, but I really love to see good defense. And what there was incredible outfield defense, namely Miles Straw. That guy, I don't like him because he's a former Astro, and we will get in later on how much I dislike the Astros.
Yes, we will.
I mean, everybody does, but I more than most. Miles Straw was so incredible in center field. There were so many hard line drives that were in the gap that he was able to run down and make look easy. And it's plays like that where I just sit back and watch. Is a big fan of outfield defense, and I just look at it in awe, because that's really all it was. Is Miles Straw put on an absolute clinic in center field for Cleveland. And I mean, Sam Hentges, the reliever for Cleveland, went out, gave him 3 shutout innings, 6 punch outs. The guy had the dirtiest curveball I have ever witnessed in my entire life. That thing moved on its own. It was awesome. Like most people, I knew him going into it, didn't know him that well, didn't know he was that dirty, and then I watched him pitch. I'm like, oh, this guy's really good. That's cool. I'm a big fan. And in the end of the game, Cleveland hits a walk-off homer. And you know what the guy walked up to?
The SpongeBob SquarePants theme song.
That is right. And what's better than that? Is there anything better than that?
Yeah, no, that was great.
Yeah, so that marathon of a game there, 5 hours, my favorite game of the weekend, just brought me so much joy. But something that didn't bring me a whole lot of joy was watching the Padres beat the Mets. Where are the Mets going from here?
This is tough. They have so many free agents at the end of the season.
A lot.
Yeah, and I think, who do you start? Who do you bring back? Who's priority one, do you think, to bring back for the Mets?
Well, priority one has to be Jacob deGrom. He's the best pitcher, you could argue, ever. He's certainly got the best stuff that I think anyone has ever seen. So probably bring that guy back. That would be pretty smart.
What about the fact that do injuries play into this?
Injuries play into me not wanting to give him more than 5 years.
Sure.
And I don't think most teams will give him more than 5 years because he hasn't thrown more than 150 innings. And I don't know how long.
It's been a few seasons
I think since
now.
his Cy Young seasons. So that's certainly going to be a worry, but it's not enough of a worry to just move on from him. He is too good of a pitcher to just say, hey, you can leave.
Yeah, I agree. Him and you got to bring back Diaz, right?
You got to bring back Eddie.
Have to.
He was the best closer in all baseball, and the trumpets have to stay.
Those trumpets cannot sound off in any other stadium.
No, not allowed. And so I think those are two guys. I think another guy that's kind of flying under the radar. I know I spoke up him very heavily when we were at the Subway Series. Is Brandon Nimmo. He's a 400 OBP guy. He plays really good defense. He's the prototypical Met.
Yep.
And while he's not going to fly off the page, he's a really good baseball player, and losing a guy like him would be a huge blow to the Mets. But I don't see him leaving. The Mets value him more than anybody, and he wants to stay in New York.
He does. Did you see he was still in his full uniform in his press conference after the game?
Yep.
You just got the feeling he doesn't want to leave.
He has zero intention to leave. It's purely up to if Steve Cohen re-signs him, and he should. There's no reason he wouldn't.
Yeah, a guy like that to have around your clubhouse is good. You saw it in his face. You could tell how upset and bummed he was about the season, and still in full uniform talking to the press. So, hopefully they can bring him back too. Yeah,
but they're losing so many bullpen pieces. Almost every single guy in their bullpen, it feels like, is leaving. Diaz is the big guy you really have to bring back. Outside of that, though, they can kind of work with whatever because it's not like their bullpen was any good this year, and so they can rebound and readjust from that. Pick up a few middling pieces off free agency because you never really want to go too big on closers because they're always the least reliable person.
Yeah.
So
you look at the Mets season, you win 101 games, but you get bounced in the first round. How do you kind of grade this season? Do you look at it and say it's a failure? But
no,
still won 101 games.
It's not a failure. 101 games is 101 games.
Incredible.
It's an incredibly disappointing finish. I think it's probably a B- of a season because obviously they had World Series expectations going into it, and they didn't reach that mark.
Right.
But if you make the playoffs and win 101 games, that's a successful season.
Mm-hmm.
There's no other way to look at it, especially considering the Mets. The Mets are a team that have always looked pretty good going into the season on paper, but have never actually lived up to the hype. This was the first year where they pretty much did. At least during the regular season, they lived up to the hype.
Yep.
And so it's a positive season. There was a lot of good to take out of it. Pete Alonso took a step forward. He looks really good. Francisco Lindor is back to what he used to be.
They're just a fun team to watch.
They are. They're really good. The worry that I have for them is if Max Scherzer if his body is really breaking down to the point that he can't stay healthy even for October.
Right.
Because if that's the case, this is 2 years in a row now that his body's broken down on him when it mattered. If he's not healthy and DeGrom is gone, this team's in for a rough ride because Bass is leaving too. So they need Scherzer to be healthy. They need DeGrom to come back. If they don't let DeGrom come back, though, they got to go after Judge. And if DeGrom leaves, they have to get either Judge this offseason or Ohtani next offseason. If they miss out on both of them and lose DeGrom, this team's dead.
Yeah, but I think coming off of this season, I don't really think there should be of the mindset of, okay, no, we got to blow it up. No, you're right there.
There's no reason to blow it up. This team, the core is still there. Your offense, I can't think of a single guy on that offensive lineup other than Brandon Nimmo that they have that's leaving. That actually matters. So that's still there. Max Scherzer is still there. The pitching is a question mark. You're losing a lot of guys there. They have to re-sign at least some of them. They have to re-sign Edwin Diaz. Yep. That's the biggest one they have to make sure he's still there at the end of the bullpen because that is the most electric thing. The trumpets are the most electric things in all of sports. So that alone, they have to bring it back.
It wasn't so electric in the last game, though.
Oh, that was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. How do you do that? How do you still play it when you're down 6 runs?
Yeah, I mean, they were probably looking at it as, okay, this is the last time for this season, probably. So let's let it ride one more time. But yeah, I mean,
yeah, but you got Padre fans dancing for it in the crowd. Like you can't get away with that. That's unacceptable.
Yeah, no. But you know who won't be in a Mets uniform next year? Aaron Judge. He's sticking with us. And the game got rained out tonight, unfortunately.
Yeah, that was tough.
How are we feeling about the Yankees and Guardians?
Yankees looked really good in game 1. Even that, I'm not so sure I believe. They look good. Obviously, they look like the better team. But, I mean, Garrett Cole was solid. 1 run over, what was it, 6 1/3?
Yep.
You're happy with that. 10 times out of 10.
Yeah, but he got off to a little bit of a shaky start.
He did. He didn't look great the first few innings.
I was a little worried. I'm like, oh man, here we go again. This is last year all over again against the Red Sox in the wild card game last year. We saw it happen, but first couple innings he was shaky, but I think he straightened it out for sure. And giving up 1 run, you can't ask him for much more than that.
No, you really can't. And so, I mean, he did his job. Cal Quantrill looked good for Cleveland. That he pitched a good game.
Yep.
I mean, he gave up all 4 runs, but I mean, really, he looked fine. He wasn't the real problem with them. So I think he's fine. I think he was fine. The Cleveland's bullpen is still really good. They shut down the Yankees after Quantrill got taken out. So I think these next 2 games, it looks good for Cleveland. They got Bieber coming up game 2. I know you got some numbers there that's going to try and dispute
Shane
that.
Bieber.
But Tristan McKenzie's set for game 3. Yankees aren't hitting that guy.
Yeah,
that guy is dirty.
We're sweeping them. This will be an easy sweep.
If the Yankees win game 3, I would put so many cases of due on the Guardians to win game 3. There's absolutely 0 chance the Yankees are taking
Cleveland
that one.
they're too young.
Doesn't matter.
They don't want to see us.
They do want to see you. That's why they're playing you right now.
We got Nestor pitching game 2. It's a sweep.
Who's pitching game 3? Sevy, right?
Sevy. He gonna hold it down.
Is he now?
Yeah, and Shane Bieber is pitching tomorrow. He started in 4 career starts against the Yankees, 7.52 ERA, including the postseason. He's never pitched at Yankee Stadium ever, and to pitch for the first time in postseason in Yankee Stadium, he's in for it.
I think something that's interesting to look at is with this rain out here tonight, it's going to throw a wrench in both of these teams' plans because now they're going to have to play 4 straight games to close out the series.
True.
And all that advantage that the Yankees had with their rest and being able to start, like they had, if the Guardians would have had to pitch, if they would have had to go with Bieber and McKenzie on short. Well, McKenzie wouldn't have been able to pitch Game 5 in the first place. They would have had to go with Cal Quantrill if they wanted him to pitch Game 4. He would have been on short rest. If they wanted Bieber to pitch Game 4, he'd been on very short rest. So the fact that now both of these teams are in the same position, both Game 1 pitchers will be on regular rest for Game 4. But after that, if they want their Game 2 guy to go Game 5, he's on short rest for both teams.
There's not going to be a Game 4, so we'll be good.
There's going to be a Game 4. There will be a Game 4. The Yankees will not sweep. They will not beat McKenzie and Bieber back-to-back. It will not happen. And so the issue that comes in there is if the Guardians are somehow able to take these next 2 games,
they won't.
Do the Yankees would they have to pitch Garrett Cole on short rest Game 4? Because
they might, but it's not going to happen.
Who else would they go to if that does happen? Is Tyon on the roster? Would they have to use him? Montas got left off, so they couldn't go with him.
Yep.
It's if the Guardians do steal these next 2 games, the Yankees are in a terrible position.
We'll be all right. You know who else got left off of the roster? Aroldis Chapman.
Oh yeah, he's a bum.
What happened here?
Oh, he's a bum. That's what he is. He's a whiny little bum. That's Aroldis Chapman. He's complaining because, my spot on the playoff roster isn't very secure.
Guaranteed.
Well, maybe if you played better, it would be. And so you can't go whining in Florida about not being a guaranteed slot on the playoff roster when you pitched as terribly as he did.
He is so inconsistent because he will have innings in games where he looks absolutely unhittable, but then the very next game, or even inning, or batter, he will just be all over the place. So I am not sweating this at all. I mean, and now we wonder, you remember the incident with the infection on his leg with the tattoo?
Yeah.
Are we questioning that now? Maybe that wasn't so legit after all. If he's pulling this now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think Aroldis Chapman is a whiny little child, and I don't like him at all. And I would have loved to see him on the playoff roster for the Yankees, just because I think that would have, evened the tables a little bit. But
when he gets a runner on base, it is over. He's throwing a first base. He's throwing over the catcher's head into the seats. He just too inconsistent. So him being left off, I'm cool with it.
Another series I want to look at here is the Phillies and the Braves. I'm going to bounce back and forth a little bit here. But the Phillies, they take both games against the Cardinals, and then they take game one against the Braves. They looked like a very threatening team, and then they got shut out by Kyle Wright, which, happens. Kyle Wright's a good pitcher. But I'm very interested to see exactly how this series plays out, because I don't really think the Phillies are anywhere near as good as the Braves, but they are a team that could get hot. And with Aaron Nola's going tonight. The Braves did a really good job at beating Wheeler. That was impressive. But with Aaron Nola going tomorrow, I apologize. That's going to be a big game for the Phillies, because if they steal that one, then I think they'd have Wheeler. Wheeler would be on, I think, regular rest, maybe 1 day short rest for Game 5 if they need it. And the Braves don't have enough starting pitchers with Spencer Strider hurt. They have Charlie Morton and Strider, but Strider's not 100%. So they would have to push Max Fried on short rest. Then they'd have to push Kyle Wright on short rest if this series goes the distance, because I don't think they can trust Strider for a full game. So I think it's really interesting to see exactly how this is going to play out for the Phillies here. But the Phillies have Kyle Schwarber, who is 0 for his last 30 in the playoffs. They're doing that with an automatic out at the top of the lineup.
Yep.
And they're going to need to turn that around, because right now Harper's the only guy who really looks that good in the lineup. And that can't fly for this team if they want to be able to beat the Braves.
Yeah, you're tied up at 1-1, but you never know. The Phillies, do you think they could just kind of be using that underdog mentality?
Absolutely.
And,
Philadelphia's been doing that forever.
Yep.
So it's certainly well within the realm of possibility for this team. But I wanted to bounce a little quickly off of this one, because honestly, this is a really good series. I think the Braves are probably going to take it, but if the Phillies win here tonight, it's anybody's game, or it's really any team could win if the Phillies take this next game. But I want to bounce over to the American League, in which the Astros are playing the Mariners right now. And while I'm very happy the Mariners were able to at least make the playoffs and they won a series, it was awesome. It was great. Had a great time with that. Big Dumper is he's the man. Julio has the greatest eyes I've ever seen. But now they're playing the Astros, and they're getting humbled because the Astros are Yordan Alvarez, and he owns every single team he has ever played, and I hate him with all of my heart.
Yeah, that comeback was
so much.
Yeah, that was amazing.
It hurt. Part of me died.
Yeah, you're up 7-3 in the 8th inning, and then Yordan Alvarez happens. Three-run shot.
Yeah. It was Yordan walked it off in Game 1. That was awful. He homered again today, and it's like today Luis Castillo wasn't even bad. That was the thing. He went seven innings, 3 runs. He gave up 2 homers. One of them was a good changeup to Kyle Tucker that he took out. One of them was an outside fastball, I believe, that Yordan took out. So it's not like Castillo was really missing. He made good pitches. The Astros just put better swings on him. And really, that's what the Astros have been doing for the last however long it's been.
Yep.
What, 5-6 years now? I hate them with all of my heart. I want them to die.
They're
cheaters. Hope they are cheaters. They're the worst people on earth. And I hope they just get deleted off the face of the earth, and so I don't ever have to watch them play baseball again.
The Yankees will.
Ooh, honestly, if the Yankees play them, I hope they win.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Never thought I'd hear that.
Yeah, I didn't think I'd say it until it became a reality that the Astros were just going to sweep the Mariners. And
if that would have been such a win for the Mariners to go up 1-0. Because, I mean, they were up. Yeah, you're up 7-3, and then you end up losing. So
Yep, 7-3. Then the Astros get to Munoz in the 8th, put up 2 runs on him, and then Paul Sewald wasn't great. And then for some unforsaken reason, they put in Robbie Ray. And we all know what happened there. He threw 2 fastballs down the pipe, and Jordan hit the second one very far.
Yep.
It's tough. I really wanted to see the Mariners win. I had the Mariners not winning, but I mean at this rate, both the World Series teams I had are not making it, so I didn't do a very good job there. It's just tough. I would really like if the Mariners could somehow, some way pull out the reverse sweep.
I would love it too,
but it's not going to happen. The Astros are just a better team. They're the best team in the American League, and I hate that that's the case for the last. It's been that case for the last 6 years now, and I hate it. It drives me to madness.
Yeah, and our last series we're going to talk about, where there will be no sweeps because the series is now knotted at 1-1. Your guys, the Padres and the Dodgers. Padres and the Dodgers. What happened last night?
I'm going to kick it back to game 1. Start from the beginning. Go from the top here. This hurts. Hurts all of me. Every single part brings me pain. You have been watching me stress myself into last year. It's the worst feel. Playoff baseball is both the greatest thing in the world because everything matters, but it's the worst thing in the world because everything matters. And the Dodgers are the only thing that matters in my entire life, at least in October. And right now, they are putting me through the worst kind of torture known to man. The baseball gods hate me right now. It started in game 1. Dodgers looked great. They got out 5-0. They were beating the tar out of Mike Clevenger, and Julio looked incredible. And then all of a sudden, the 5th inning rolls around, and the Padres put up 3 runs on Julio, and it's like, oh, this is a series. I thought this was not going to be a series. And then I started pacing, and I believe I got the ice cream back out because I was stressed.
You probably paced about a mile.
Probably.
In total, if not more.
I wish I was holding my phone so I could have counted the steps.
Yep.
But the bullpen looked great in that first game, and Dodgers end up holding on 5-3, and everything looks good. And I think, okay, certainly not exactly the way I thought the first game was going because I thought we were going to just blow the Padres out of the water.
Yep.
That didn't happen. I figured game 2 was going to be a difference. I figured game 2 was going to be close. I was thinking it was going to be a 2-1 Dodgers win because Yu Darvish is really good. And,
he is.
But Kershaw has, in his career, absolutely owned the Padres. And so I figured he'd be able to get it done, even with all the playoff issues that he's had in the past. I figured Kershaw, in his history with the Padres, was going to do a good job. And while Kershaw didn't really do that bad, he gave up 3 over 5. It was a much different 3 over 5 than Julio's. And it got off early. Manny Machado hit a first-inning home run. Mm-hmm. The worst. I hate Manny Machado with all of my heart, by the way. Don't know if that's a common knowledge. Should be. He's the worst. So that was awful. Terrible way to start. And then the offense was so up and down. They hit a few homers, but they went 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position. Mm-hmm. What are we doing? How do we forget how to hit with runners on? This is the team that is normally really good with runners on. All of a sudden, they get a runner on second base and forget how to put the ball in play. They left 10 runners on base that game. 10.
Yeah.
That's too big of a number.
Yeah, watching that game, I remember saying it, man, I was like, man, it seems like every single inning they're threatening to score.
Every inning.
They
had guys on. They had people in position to do something. The worst part, the thing that drove me, I don't know if it drove me the most insane because a lot of things drove me insane. Max Muncy hits a ball off the wall. Took him 20 years to get it back in the infield, and he still ended up at first.
Yeah.
And I believe 2 batters later, there was a double play. Max Muncy's on second. That's an RBI. Dodgers, the momentum changes again, ties it up at 4. Instead, they lose 5-4, but things could be completely different if the Dodgers put up a run there. And so that right there, Max Muncy, I don't know if that's Muncy or the first base coach. One of you has to do something there. So that's more than just a single. And then Trey Turner, he's looked fantastic at the plate. He is hitting the ball like it's a beach ball right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been awesome. What hasn't been awesome was his defense in the last game. Had routine ground ball, tried to turn it to second to end the inning because it was a forced play. Trent Grisham just ran to second, so he was safe. Runner ends up staying, and everybody's safe all around because of it. Granted, they were able to get out of that inning, but a couple innings before then, Trey Turner makes an error and boots a routine ground ball, and the Padres end up taking a run on that. And that played. If that doesn't happen and Max Muncy runs to second, Dodgers are tied 4-4 at the end of the ninth inning. And so that's unacceptable. I get it. Trey is incredible offensively. He homered that game, so I can't really be that mad at him. But we need a good defensive shortstop because we've had Corey Seager there for the last however long Corey Seager was there. He wasn't a very good defensive shortstop, but so we were looking for Trey to be the guy to fix that whole issue and actually give us an anchor at short. Didn't happen. Yency Almonte and Tommy Kahnle looked incredible. Both of them struck out the side. That was awesome. Bruce Dar looked really good. He made a hell of a play on defense. Defense just let him down because Trey Turner was the guy Trey Turner booted that ball and Bruce Dar was on the mound. Cody bailed him out to end the inning, but Bruce Dar looked solid. Blake Trinan was not very inspiring. Gave up a solo shot. Wasn't a very clean inning for him, so I'd really prefer if, he could look like Blake Trinan from last year. And I think the thing that really made me the most upset was Austin Barnes pinch hitting when we have Chris Taylor available on the bench. I understand Chris Taylor wasn't the greatest this year, but he's better than Austin Barnes. And Chris Taylor is starting Game 3. Dave Roberts has already announced it. So there's absolutely no reason for you to not use Chris Taylor when you have him available. That's the thing that really drives me insane because maybe he doesn't get a hit, but he puts us in a better chance to take a lead than Austin Barnes does. And so that one is the thing that boils my blood more than anything should. Freddie Freeman is the only player after last game that I will not be allowed to get mad at. He was great.
Yeah, he was so close to having another
almost
home
had two
run.
homers.
Yeah,
almost had two homers. The only guy who didn't leave a single runner on base. Good job, Freddie. Proud of you. Good work.
Freddie had a game.
But I don't know what's going from here. The Dodgers should win this, but the Dodgers have dodgered a lot in recent years, and so I can't say it's a lock. It should be because they're better than the Padres in every single way.
Yeah.
But I couldn't tell you what's going to happen.
I feel like the Padres are just kind of like a pesky team, though.
They are. They are a pesky team, but the Dodgers
should take.
The Dodgers are the big brother.
Yep.
They should just push the little brother's face into the dirt and say, "Shut up, we're better." That's all it is.
Sure. Yeah, I know. I think the Dodgers will be all right. But yeah, the Padres are definitely making it interesting, though.
They're making it too interesting.
Yeah.
That's what it is. But that's pretty much going to wrap it up for us here for the Sports Talk tonight. But before I head out, I wanted to promote an event that's going on campus tomorrow. The Golden Z is a club that is is run by my good friend Corinne Bush. And tomorrow in Gordon Science Center in room 272 at 5 p.m., they're going to be hosting a Make Your Own Fall Wreath event. And everybody's welcome to join. If you don't want to keep your wreath, it's going to be donated to a local nursing home. So it's for a good cause. And if you're interested, either RSVP on Pio Hub or you can email Corinne at ccbush@utica.edu. So it's a really good event. I'll be there. I think it's something that people should support. It's a really good cause. It's run by a really good person. And I just think that's something that just wanted to let people know about. But I'd like to thank everybody for joining us here on the Victory Lap. I've been your host, James Boss. Joined alongside me has been Shane Tinney, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your night.